What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV, back here to review the shit show that was Tottenham Hotspur last night, once again losing 4-2 at the Etihad at the hands of Manchester City. And a bit different this time, you know. We're usually seeing the same things and speaking about the same things every week, but at least we actually somewhat turned up in the first half yesterday. I thought, look, I think Bentancur, just him alone just makes such a difference, and the way he presses from the front, the way he dictates the play from the middle of the park, I think he's absolutely brilliant, and he just makes the world of difference to us. But at least it was nice to see us play a bit of football in the first half, Sim.
Yeah, at times we were able to. I still think Man City had a lot of possession. I think we were fairly confident in possession. I was pretty happy with it. It's not like we carved Man City open too many times. I think Son had a header, which Ederson saved. Other than that, we didn't have too many clear opportunities up against Man City, but I think the more positive thing is we were able to restrict Man City ourselves. Haaland had a chance where he got ahead of Hugo and headed it over the bar. Other than that, weren't too many openings for Man City. We were defending solidly. When we did get possession, as you say, Bentancur was so silky. Was able to. It's the big difference when we have been centred. We have someone who's able to look up, have a bit of calmness on the ball, play the right pass. Kulusevski was causing trouble down that right hand side. Kane was looking decent. Son was still not great, but we were looking good without really forcing the issue. And then what happened is we just pounced on two Man City mistakes. They've made two mistakes at the end of the half, which they weren't doing throughout the opening 40 minutes. A mistake from Ederson at the goal kick, playing a poor pass to Rodri. He panics, gives it to Kulusevski.
Great pressing from Bentancur for that goal.
Very good pressing, and we forced the mistake. At the end of the day, it was mistakes from Man City, which gave us then a nice calm finish by Kulusevski. And the second goal, I think you could probably say was a number of mistakes from Man City. Kane sliding challenge in the box. You had Ederson spilling the ball really straight to Emerson, and Emerson was able to first react, able to head it home, and all of a sudden we're 2-0 up. I wouldn't say we were bad in the first half in a sense that we didn't deserve to be winning, but I think 2-0 definitely flattered us. I said that at the time as well when we were 2-0 up. I definitely felt like we didn't deserve to be 2-0 up at half time, but you got to take it. And I think the way we're defending, the way this game is going, and especially given the fact we usually do better in second halves, you've got to be confident going 2-0 up at half time, especially given our recent record against Man City, that we were going to go on and win the game.
Look, it was completely luck for us to go into that 2-0 up. I think that I don't even think we deserved to be 1-0 up going into the lead, to be honest. I still think Man City had the better of that first half, and I think I couldn't understand it for the life of me. I was there sitting right behind that goal where Man City were attacking in the first half, and Man City had, how many corners did they have in that first half? They had 7 corners in that first half. It was like corner after corner after corner. And I just noticed every time they had a corner, Haaland was completely free every single time. He had a few chances to score. He had a few tame efforts where he probably should have done better in that first half. But it was all over the shop for the defending from the corners specifically. But I think that when you're taking into account the performance of the first half, I think we got City into some areas that they didn't want to be in. We were performing quite confidently for most part of that first half, but City did put us under pressure. But yeah, we were super, super lucky to go into that half time being 2-0 up, never mind 1-0 up.
I mean, can you get the phone up? You can just see these are the stats of the first half. I think it tells a story. It was fairly even. City 7 shots to Spurs 6. XG 0.44 for City, 0.43 for Tottenham. Even though I think that's a bit underplayed because it says the XG for the Tottenham's goals. You would expect higher than 0.1 for Emerson's goal, and it says
point blank header.
Yeah, and 0.13 for Kulusevski's goal. It was a 1-on-1 situation. So I reckon it's a bit higher than 0.43 in my opinion, but whatever, they've given it 0.43. They've given Man City 0.44 for the first half as well. So it was a fairly even game. 7 corners, yeah, as you say, to 3. It does say here Man City did have 2 big chances in the first half. I'm trying to remember when they were.
Well, there was that Haaland one at the back post where he had a really tame effort.
I mean, from the corner.
From the corner.
It wasn't a big chance.
I thought it was a really big chance.
He was free, but he would have done very well to score from it, I thought.
It was just a poor shot from him. Like Haaland, you'd expect Haaland to score from there. Well, I expected him to score from there anyway. The other big chance, I can't really remember.
There was one from Haaland, I remember, where he had a header when he got ahead of Lloris. Lloris came out for it, and Haaland got there first and was over the bar. So he did have a couple of chances, but I did like those were weren't chances that I felt like. I felt like we were actually like in the game. I didn't feel like
we were.
I didn't feel like we were just waiting for City to score, if you know what I mean.
It's the best first half we've had in a long time. That's the facts of the matter. I think we were competitive for that first 45 minutes. And I liked the performance of Bentancur a lot. I thought, like I said, he makes such a difference when he's in this team. Kulusevski was causing them problems. He was probably our biggest danger man on the day yesterday. Harry Kane was trying his best. But it's the second half where it all went wrong once. Well, not once again, but why can we only perform for 45 minutes in games?
And as you can see,
it doesn't make sense.
Just before we get into it, the stats of the second half tell the story. 1.93 XG for City, 0.38 for Spurs. I think that all comes from that one Perisic chance as well. 9 shots to 3. We didn't have a shot on target. I guess Perisic doesn't count on target. I guess it was blocked, hit the bar. Yeah, no shots on target.
Onto the bar, though?
It was Rico Lewis.
Oh, it was Rico Lewis. Yeah,
he blocked it onto the bar.
On target then, yeah.
4 shots on target for Man City. They scored every shot on target.
What a brilliant player he is, by the way, Rico Lewis. What a performance yesterday.
Yeah, he looks very mature, doesn't he? And very tactically aware. 7 shots inside the box. He had 3 big chances as well, Man City, and they scored all of them. It was pure domination in that second half, and they really put us to the sword, especially in that opening. I think it was 2-2 after 8 minutes, I think, in the second half.
It was, and it was like they just literally flicked the switch and came out and showed everyone why they're champions, really. And they tore us to shreds in the opening 20 minutes of, well, to be honest, the majority of that 45 minutes, the second half.
I think when I'm analysing that second half, of the first 10 minutes, we were all at sea. We were all over the place. And we got all we deserved for those opening 10 minutes. They scored 2 goals. The defending was poor. Lloris for the Perisic and Lloris for the first goal was a shambles. Perisic was a shambles for the second goal, playing Haaland onside.
Perisic had a hand in 3 goals yesterday.
And the third
3
goal.
Of the 4.
But we'll go into the third goal in a second. But the opening 2 goals were all a C. And then actually we got back in the game. And I actually thought for the next 10 minutes we were actually looking good again, and it looked like we'd shaken off that those defensive mishaps and kind of calmed ourselves down, regained our composure, and started to play our game again. And we did create a couple of opportunities, and then obviously we had that big one. Kulusevski breaks down the right hand side.
What a ball to Perisic.
Cuts it back. He always picks the right option, doesn't he, Kulusevski, in those scenarios. Pulls it back to Perisic. He has to score in that position. And he gets deflection and it hits the bar. And then probably not even a couple minutes later, they went on and they get a deflection and then it scores. And and then once it went 3-2 to Man City, at that point, then again we didn't look like we were going to get back in the game after that. I feel like when Spurs play a team like Man City, we need Man City to throw a bit of caution to the wind in these games, because we need them to play so that we have the space to play in going forward. And I feel like once Man City went ahead, that's exactly where they want us. They can kind of control possession. We are not going to be that intense in our pressing, because that's not usually how we play when we push really far up on a consistent basis. And we can't really be counter-attacking them, because all of a sudden Man City now can just sit back a bit. They can invite us on and then they can hit us. And after that, we didn't really have an answer. We only really looked like in the game once it was either level or we were in the lead. But once Man City took the lead, we didn't really have an answer to that.
No, we didn't. And again, it brings us back to what we always talk about, and that is individual errors, not good enough players at this football club. Because I think this team are playing to the maximum of their capability at the moment. I don't see a team that are not trying. And I think this team is literally playing to the maximum of their capabilities. And unfortunately, there's not enough good players in this team. When you're looking at that defence that was on that pitch yesterday, Perisic got absolutely torn to pieces last night by Mahrez. 3 of those goals he had his hand in. Hugo Lloris, 2 of the goals he had his hand in. And now that's 4 out of his last 5 games. I think even 5 out of his last 6 games, if you take into account the game before the World Cup as well, where Lloris is making mistakes. And I think this goalkeeping situation is becoming more of a pressing issue than we even thought coming into this season, and potentially we even need to look at one this January. I don't think we will, but I think that's the case. I mean, we're just giving away goals too often at the moment. Eric Dyer, Jesus Christ, that defending last night from Eric Dyer, he was completely lost on that football pitch yesterday. I mean, how can we keep going into games? And, you know, we did so well. Okay, it was a bit fortuitous to be in the lead, but to go into the break at 2-0 up at the Etihad, you know, you don't get those opportunities too often at the Etihad where Man City just give you the goals. And all we needed to do in that second half is to be defensively solid and take our chances on the break, and we couldn't even do that. Defenders nowhere near good enough. Clement Longley comes on and just gives away a goal, a bit like Dyer against Liverpool. And it's just not good enough. These players that we have, how many times can we talk about it consistently, game after game, year after year? These players are just not good enough. I think Højbjerg was completely lost in that second half as well. Heung-min Son, when are we going to see a good performance from him? I mean, it's time for him to come out of the team, in my opinion. He needs to be taken out the firing line a little bit. But the problem is we don't have a squad for this. We can't take Hugo Lloris out the firing line because Fraser Forster's not a better keeper than Hugo Lloris. We can take Son out the firing line now because we've recovered Richarlison, but before then we couldn't take him out the firing line. Perisic, what are you going to do? Bring in Sessegnon? Like, Sessegnon's not good enough either. So what do? We take out Ben Davis, we bring in Clement Longley yesterday, he makes some mistakes. Everyone that we're bringing in the back line is making vital errors at the moment, and until we sort out this back line and bring in signings, this is just going to be keep happening. And I don't know, these decision makers at this football club, like, when are they going to realise this? When are they going to dip their hand in their pocket and realise that we can't go on like this?
They should have realised a long time ago. We've been calling for new defenders for a very long time. I think possibly the worst thing that Conte did was get Dyer to play really well for 6 months and convince everyone that he could be the answer, because he's clearly not. Yesterday, I thought he were on the ball, especially. He was playing really dangerous passes with a little care and a little accuracy. I thought that he was giving the ball away way too cheaply. Defensively, he made some good blocks, but I think by and large, I think players fancied themselves against Eric Dyer, and why wouldn't you? I don't think he's good enough to take Tom to the next level. Look, we've said it a million times. It's so frustrating to say it, the same things, and nothing ever changes.
It's like everyone can see it. Everyone can see it outside the club. Every opposition manager can see it for targeting our defence. Every fan base can see it. The Tottenham fans can obviously see it. Conte can see it, but nothing gets done about it.
Yeah. This team won't push on without a new set of defenders. That's the reality. I mean, conceding 31 goals after 20 games is ridiculous.
But what's happened
since October? Oh,
since October, we've conceded the most goals in the Premier League.
It's mad. It's madness.
In 9 out of the last 10 games, we've conceded 2 or more goals. It's not good enough. It is really not good enough. And when are they going to take accountability and actually do something about the situation? All we're hearing is that we're not going to bring in a centre-back, which is crazy.
I mean, I would blame Conte. Look, Conte does have a lot of responsibility. Don't get me wrong. He's not blameless in this. But I would blame him more, right, if we were continually just being opened up and teams were getting chances after chance. But what's happening is we're just giving them goals. Like, I mean, like we're just like, for example, that long leg, the fourth goal yesterday. It's like Conte can't do anything about that. A ball comes over to him, he takes a horrible touch and just gifts Mahrez a one-on-one. Like, there's nothing Conte can do about these kind of unbelievable individual errors. When Lloris is chucking the ball in the back of the net, like, there's only so much you can do about those kind of things.
Absolutely.
Like, you can set up defensively all you want, or you can change it up. But when these individuals, and we said the same thing under Mourinho, when these individuals are just doing unbelievable individual errors, there's only so much you can do. And when they're doing it on a consistent basis as well, it's just so disheartening. And it's like we've seen these situations time after time after time again, and we're just sick. I'm personally just sick of saying the same thing. It's like, how many times I'm going to say Dyer's, made a mistake, or this one's made a mistake, that one's made a mistake. It happens. It just keeps happening. And these defenders are not fit for purpose for a Conte team. And people are going to say, well, look at Brentford, look at Fulham, all this. Look, I hate these comparisons. They got nowhere near the expectations Tottenham do.
The fact of the matter is we're above both those teams anyway.
We're above them as well. So it's a relevant comparison, in my opinion. It's silly. They only got one game a week. They've got different aspirations to us, and we're above them. So it's not like it's different.
If Brentford and Brighton were having the season that we're having right now, they'd be on top of the world. We're doing better than what they're doing this season. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, there's no comparison there whatsoever. And I hear people talking about Conte being like, oh, it's Conte's tactics, it's Conte's team selection. What choice does he have with the team selection? Please tell me. What choice does he have? Does he have a choice to not play Dyer? Well, yeah, he can bring on Longley, but Longley's doing the same shit. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, what choice do we have? We're going to take out Hugo Lloris and bring in Fraser Forster. Fraser Forster will come in and make a mistake. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, it's like Fraser Forster came in against Brentford. All right, he didn't have his worst game, but he still made a mistake leading to a goal. So, everyone we bring in, you can take out Perisic from the team last night. You're going to bring in Ryan Sessegnon. Is he good enough? Is he going to do anything positively?
Everyone criticised Conte for leaving out Perisic against Arsenal, you know what I mean? And playing Sessegnon, and now I can see why. Yeah. To be fair, look, when I think about Perisic, I said this yesterday, he was horrible yesterday, but I don't think those are the games where Perisic is like, that's where we need him in those kind of games. We need him in games where we're going to be more on the front foot and dominate, and we're going to force the issue on the opposition. Games against Man City and Arsenal, when we're doing a lot of defending, I would always be hesitant to play someone like Perisic, because he's naturally a winger. Defensively is not his forte, and when you come up against people like Mahrez and Saka, who are very good in one-on-one dribbling in those situations, there's always a possibility he could be ripped apart like he was yesterday. Yeah. And that's not to say he's not a very good wing back just because of that, but in those kind of games I don't trust him, especially at 33, that's for sure. But where he's good at is the other games where he's going to have a lot of possession of the ball, where he's going to get a lot of opportunities to get forward and get crosses in the box and become an effective, valuable attacking wing back. That's where he's most valuable. So look, we can bash on, people were going to bash on Perisic after yesterday, and rightly so. He was terrible, and it wasn't even just defending. It was on the ball. He was doing these stupid first touch passes, just giving it away. It was a terrible day for Perisic, but I don't think he's our biggest problem.
That's for sure. That's for sure. But the fact of the matter is, with Perisic, I've had my reservations about him defensively all season, to be honest. I like him as a player. I really like him as a player. And I think he's had some really good games for us. And he's provided for us, 8 assists this season or something, which is brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. But the fact of the matter is, what we're trying to do at Tottenham Hotspur with the Conte system, with the left wing back and the right wing back, he is not the answer to play week in, week out every single game, because he will get torn apart in games like that. So we need an alternative to him, that we can have him and someone else. And Sessegnon is clearly not the answer. Sessegnon's nowhere near good enough. So I guess for next season, we're going to have the answer with Udogie and Perisic playing, but Perisic will be another year older. Maybe even slower. So maybe we do need to try find another left wing back as well, because there's no two ways about it. Perisic is past his best. He's not his best anymore. That's just the facts of the matter.
Who is it? Most players aren't at 33, 34.
And I see a comment here from Rish saying, when all the players are performing under their level, it's the manager. But tell me who is performing under their level, because I think everyone is performing to their level right now. And last season when he got them before. Apart from Son, yeah, apart from Son. When last season, when you saw the defence keeping out goals and having a really good time of it, they were performing over their level, in my opinion. And every single time we go through this cycle where these players somehow perform over their level for a little bit and always revert back to type. And that's what we're seeing again now.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think Kulusevski and Kane are both playing very well, like when they're on the pitch. I think Bentancur, when he's on the pitch, is playing really well. I think Højbjerg is, like, I mean, maybe recently he's not been great, but I do think, like, when you come from like a technical standpoint, like, I think he's always been a player that can frustrate you when it comes to like being lax in his passing and things like that. As we've said, I think Højbjerg is a good player. I don't think he's a world-class player. I think at the beginning of the season he was playing really well, like consistently playing very strongly. But I think Højbjerg has limitations. He's a limited player, and that's the reality with him. So I do think he's playing fairly to his level. I just think it's players like Dyer, Davis, Emerson, Doherty, Sessegnon. I mean, what do we expect from these players? Do we expect them to be to take us on to push us onto a title challenge? Like, can we have them in a top 4 challenge? Probably. We're challenging for top 4 now. Right, obviously right now it's going wrong and we're sliding down the table, no doubt about it. But we got top 4 with these players last season. Could we potentially, I mean, other teams have improved, so it's probably more unlikely so it's probably more unlikely with these players we can get top 4, but can we challenge for top 4 with these players? Yeah, we can probably challenge for them, but we can't. But we did that last season.
We can't solidify our place.
Yeah, and we can't take it to the next level. We got top 4. We did that last season. So we want the challenge was to step it up, get push for third, push for top, push for a league, or push for something big. That was the challenge. And unfortunately, these players are never going to be of the required standard to do that. Never, ever, ever. And we're seeing that now week in, week out, and it's there for all to see. I don't think Emerson and Doherty are playing below their level. I don't see Emerson and Doherty. Like, Emerson yesterday was fine, and we've always said in these kind of games when we do a lot of defending, he's always been okay. Those aren't the games where I go mad at Emerson. It's the other 85% of games where he's asked to do a lot of attacking.
What nutcase of a player can only perform against the Man Cities and the Liverpools?
Yeah, no, that's Emerson. No, but the thing is, if Emerson put in that performance that he did yesterday against, like, at home to Bournemouth, we would all be going mad. I'm telling you, because that's not what we want. It's what we want against Man City, but it's not what we want when we play at home to Bournemouth. Yeah. So it's different. It's kind of different expectation. Doherty, I think he's doing fine, but I don't think he's a long-term answer. I don't think he's a wing-back. I think he's playing well under Conte, but he's not going to be a player to take you to the next level. Ben Davies and Dyer, they're playing at their level at the moment. How many years are we going to have to suffer through them now? They did all right back in their peak, and they did all right for 6 months under Conte last season. But other than that, they've been
even
average.
In their peak, they were just all right.
It's pretty much ever since the latter days of Poch till right now, they've had 6 good months, and that was under Conte last season.
Yeah, last 6 months of the season.
That's it. They've been so painfully average for a long time now, apart from those 6 months. And it's like those 6 months have convinced everyone that that's the level they should be playing at. When for the other 3.5 years, everyone's saying that's not their true level, but those 6 months are their true level. No, the 3.5 years we saw of them, that's been their level for many, many years now, and we have to accept that. Clement Longley, as much as I think he's an okay defender, he's not going to be the answer to take us forward again. He's very similar level to Davis and Dyer, and he also clearly has confidence issues as well. He's been very average at Barcelona for a number of years. We hoped to turn that around and get him playing like he was at Sevilla, maybe in his early days at Barca, but he's now been off form for about 4 years now, and that's the sad reality of Clement Longley. Clearly, you can see there's talent in there when it comes to composure on the ball, these kind of things, but he's not going to be the answer to taking this team forward. So we don't have the defenders to compete with the top teams right now. That's reality. I think we have good set midfielders, we have some good forward players, but when it comes to competing for, if we really want to push this team on under Conte, this defence has to be ripped apart.
Yeah, it really does. And when you're looking at players in this squad right now who you think that would get into teams or are good enough for maybe fighting the Man Cities, the Arsenals at the top of the league, not many of them survive. Really, not many of them survive. Romero survives in that back line. That's probably about it. In the midfield, Bentancur survives. That's probably about it. And then Kane, Son, when he's back on form, because I still believe he can get there, and Kulusevski. Apart from them, they're probably the only ones that you would say are adept for a title challenging team. Everyone else is not good enough for that kind of situation.
Yeah, especially when you're talking about first 11, that's for sure.
Look, other players, like I think Højbjerg, right? I think Højbjerg is a very good player. I like him a lot. But I don't think he should be a player that we should be starting week in, week out, and his first name on the team sheet. He should be a squad player. Mm-hmm. That's the quality that we need to be getting at. Højbjerg should be at the lower end of the quality of our team, not at the first name on the team sheet every week.
Yeah.
And we're starting players. How many times are we going to talk about it? But look, the defence is nowhere near good enough. The majority of the squad is nowhere near good enough. They're asking Conte to turn water into wine once again. And until we get new players in, until we refresh this squad, until we get a better back line, we're just going to be seeing the same things week in, week out.
I just don't understand how people don't see it. Like, people can't see these managers we've been bringing in, like Mourinho and Conte, like people people just believe that we've just brought them in and they've just turned into terrible managers as soon as they come to Spurs. That's just not the case. I think even look at Jose. He's actually doing a decent job at Roma. He's not doing badly there. He's won a European competition and they're challenging for top four. Well, after years of mediocrity, when they've been mid-table for many years, Roma now. And even before Spurs, Jose Mourinho, like, he was winning trophies for Man United. I know he got sacked there, but like, it's just a coincidence. He comes to Tottenham and it's the only club he can't win a trophy with. That's
suddenly overnight. I'm hearing Conte's a dinosaur. His tactics are outdated. This is outdated. That is outdated. I mean, like, come on, guys. How many managers are we going to keep blaming? How many? The same thing's going to happen in 6 months' time when we bring in a new manager and he doesn't get a new defence, and we're going to say, "Oh, this manager's past his sell by date."
I don't understand these excuses. Like, Conte's outdated. As I said, he last won a league in 2021. 2 years ago, so like, that is not that outdated if he can win a Serie A. And I saw Jamie Carragher yesterday. He goes, Spurs been hiring Mourinho and Conte, and the Premier League is changing. The football landscape's changing, and you can't win trophies with these kind of managers. And you need like, who just won the Champions League?
Who did just win the Champions League?
Ancelotti. Is he a really forward-thinking?
He got bloody fortuitous, though, didn't he?
Yeah, but he won the champion and he won a league. Won the league and the Champions League. Like, that's not luck. They built a very good team. They're not the most.
And who won it the year before?
Thomas
Tuchel.
Like, these aren't managers who are the most, like, all like gung ho, all like massive pressing teams. Madrid had to at times be penned very deep and had to ride their luck, or had to defend deep at times. They weren't just all the time pressing forward and had to be gung ho. Look at like in international level as well. Like, Didier Deschamps is also not a very attacking manager. Like, these tactics, like Diego Simeone, didn't he just win a La Liga? How long ago was that?
About 3-4 years ago.
No, it wasn't that long ago.
No,
during lockdown.
Oh, was it locked? So 2 years ago.
During lockdown, 2 years ago, he just won a La Liga. So these are maybe in the Premier League. You could argue maybe it's different, but
the last manager to win it like that in the Premier League was Conte.
It was Conte back in 2017. So that's now you're getting 5 years ago. But I'm just saying, in modern day football, these managers can still be clearly can still be successful for me. I think they've shown that. Unai Emery's won a few Europa Leagues. Even recently, he just won one with Villarreal and just got to a semi-final of the Champions League with Villarreal last season. So these kind of tactics are not outdated, in my opinion. They can still work in the modern day if you give them the tools to work with.
That's what it's all about. And you can't expect Conte or any manager, never mind Conte, you can't expect any manager, especially if you keep chopping and changing philosophies. We've got players here now with the remnants of all these different philosophies, all these different managers, and it's just a complete mess. We've used a scattergun approach to sign players. Out of the players that we signed in the summer, how many were actually signed for Conte?
And if you just envisage like what Conte wants in a system like, and have those players implemented, I really could see this team developing. I really could see this team actually pushing forward. I really believe in the system when it works. We've seen it work and work well, and I'm just imagining like a really good centre back who is strong, like and fast, and three aggressive, strong, fast centre backs in a back three. Really good wing backs who are really good in one-on-one situations and dribbling and crossing and getting forward. Like, we would see a new team. It would be night and day to what we're seeing now, but we can't trust this defence.
Yeah.
We've seen that. And clearly that's in Conte's mind. He says, you have to think about the characteristics of your defenders, and you can't, push too high because you leave too much space. And, people like Darren Davis and Longley, they can't handle that. And that's the reality of this defence. And people saying, he has to change up. I think he has changed up. I think he's changed it to try and combat our defence right now. And unfortunately, it's not working.
Yeah. It's true. It's true. And, what's even more painful is that you're looking around other clubs in the Premier League that don't need to strengthen anywhere near as much as us. You look at Arsenal, top of the league by 8 points, just signed Trossard, just signed a new centre-back. They've got Trossard competing with Martinelli and Saka. They've got new centre-backs competing with Saliba and Gabriel and everyone else that they have there. And we're just twiddling our thumbs, waiting till the last day of the transfer window to make one signing when we clearly need so many. And you're talking about not being able to make signings in January. Look at Chelsea. Look at everyone else making signings in January, and we're just sitting here on our arses, just letting the transfer window pass us by once again. This hierarchy, Daniel Levy and ENIC, they're criminals, man. They're absolute criminals. All they want to do is make money off the pitch and just about get us into the top four, and that's all they care about. They don't care about, matching ambitions of managers that they bring in. I mean, I'd love to see the interviews that these managers have when they first come to the club, and what Daniel Levy says to them to get them through the door, because the same thing happens with every single manager. How did he get Conte through the door? How did he get Jose Mourinho through the door? They walk through the door, they see these amazing training pitch, they see this amazing stadium, and they're thinking, all right, this club has the potential to explode. But no, it gets held back by that ownership every single time. And I'd love to see what he says to them. I really would.
Yeah, I'm just sick of it. I'm sick of these owners. They don't know how to deal with the modern day transfer market and how modern day clubs are run. Like, in terms of on the footballing side, they just don't know what they're doing. They don't know what they're doing. They're too slow to act. They don't act in the right for the right areas, and I think it's happened time and time again. And
they basically still act like we were under like Martin Jol and the early stages of Pochettino and stuff like that. Like, the club and football has moved on so much since then. So much. And they're still caught back in those times where they just want to win every negotiation. I mean, it seems like all it is for Daniel Levy is just to win a negotiation. It doesn't even matter if it's a good deal or a bad deal for the club. He just wants to win the negotiation.
Yeah, that's all he cares about.
This is ridiculous. Like, these offers that he's making for Pedro Porro, like 35 million plus Davinson Sanchez. Like, in the grand scheme of things, that's probably worth more than his release clause.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Just pay the money. Like, I don't understand. Like, what is the hold up? Like, it's really not that big of an issue. I'm just tired. I'm tired of this ownership, man. I'm absolutely tired of it. It's so draining, and I'm drained. I'm drained.
You're telling me I got back from Manchester at 3:30 in the morning last night.
Said it a million times, and they're not learning. They're never going to learn.
And like, the fan base last night, like in the away end, it was just like so dejected, man. Like, one person would start like a Levy out chant, and then like a couple of people would sing, and that was it. We had a few songs in the first half at the beginning and when we were 2-0 up. But apart from that, like, it was just so subdued in that away end last night. You could just see everyone is just so depressed. I had some guy next to me in the away end last night. He travelled up to Manchester last night from Devon, going straight back home after the game. He's not going to get back till probably 5-6 in the morning, going back to Devon. This guy goes home and away in Europe, up and down the country every single week from Devon, having to witness that shit every single week. And it's like, these fans, these loyal fans going up and down the country, it's not fair. It's just not fair on them. Like, that the hierarchy need to put their hands in their pocket, and they need to do it now, because we're just falling further and further and further behind. The fan base are getting depressed.
And there's no excuse. The money is there. I'm sorry, the money is there. We just announced we're going to announce probably record profits in February. We earned more money last season than we did when we got into the Champions League final. Right, we've clearly seen the effect of what the stadium is bringing in terms of revenues. Commercial revenue now is higher than it's ever been. We earn, I think it's we earn more. We earn 100 million, nearly 100 million last season, more than Arsenal.
Yeah.
Like in terms of revenue, that's going to continue to happen, because that stadium's going to. It's actually going to probably be more, because it's going to be. We didn't have as many concerts last season as we got this season. We didn't have as many, like probably more NFL games and more this season. We've got Champions League football this season as well. So this money is only going to get higher.
I guarantee you, very soon, Spurs are going to announce record profits ever in the Premier League. They're probably going to make the most out of anyone in the Premier League in terms of how much money they're bringing in from this stadium, how much money they're bringing in from all these different avenues. And still, we're going to be penny pinching around in the market.
And again, it's not about like, oh, we should be spending 100 million on Mudryk or something like that. It's just about when you've gone through the legwork of identifying a player with the management, and you believe and you believe this player could be what the player to take you on, then don't skimp out on him. Don't negotiate and lose out on a deal because of a few million. And we're at risk of doing that. Pedro Porro, we put a derisory bid for Leandro Trossard of 12 million. Is that because we didn't really want him, or is it because we just thought could get a good deal, or did we actually identify him as a player we believe could benefit us? And then we put in a 12 million bid. I like the way we're approaching the recruitment is so behind every other club. It's so behind. We don't know what we're doing.
And it's like you see these gaping holes in the squad, and the only way you want to improve it is by opportunities in the window. But then you go and sign Richarlison for 60 million. Why did you not spend 60 million on a centre back? Like, as much as, yes, we needed Richarlison, as much as
both. Yeah.
Of course we should have done both. But if you're only going to do one, don't do Richarlison. Get a centre back in. I really like Richarlison, and I think he's going to be a good player at this football club. I think injuries have held him back and whatever. But I think that the fact of the matter is that you're looking for opportunities in the window too much. That's all they do, is look for opportunities. We probably wouldn't have signed Richarlison if Everton weren't going through that financial fair play situation. He probably would have cost more than 60 million.
And same with Bissouma.
Perisic only came in because he was a free transfer. Like, Longley only came in as a loan and a stopgap when we were looking at Bastoni and Gvardiol and these kind of players. Like, all the transfers that we make are opportunities in the window that present themselves during a window. It's not down to planning. You look at January last year, we're looking at Luis Diaz and this. Like, we only signed Bentancur and Kulusevski because they came up as opportunities later on in the window. There is no planning at this football club whatsoever. We've brought in Paratici to do all these plannings and to sort out the transfer window and Spurs as a future. But what's he doing? Where's the planning? I don't understand it.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with him. Like, what's happening? What if is he identifying these players? It just feels like it's still leaving.
Yeah,
that's what it feels like.
Feels like nothing's changed.
Yeah, it feels
nothing's
like
changed.
We were told he was going to take a step back. It doesn't seem as if he has, to me. Anyway.
But look, that is the match review. Gone off on a bit of a tangent as well. We have lost 4-2 to Man City at the Etihad yesterday. And up next is Fulham on Monday night. And I believe if Fulham beat us, they go above us, right?
They do. Same games played. Which is, look, and that's a very high possibility of that happening, with Fulham winning 4 of their last 5, playing very well at the moment. Craven Cottage, very difficult place to go. It's going to be difficult to go and win there, especially how we're playing right now. And look, we're going to have the preview and everything on Sunday, but it doesn't get any easier. But let's get into these super chats.
Go on.
Jaden says, forget top 4. We're in a relegation battle. Levy out. And to be honest, not to joke, obviously I don't think we're in a relegation battle, but if we do, like, we got our next 2 league games are Fulham and Man City. If we don't get positive results,
Man City again.
Yeah, if we don't get positive results in those games, we could very easily find ourselves in 8th or 9th. Like,
do you think Levy is going to pull the trigger and have the balls to sack Conte?
Who knows?
Like, how much worse can it get? in
Look,
Levy's mind for him to go and sack him.
Historically, whenever we really fall out the race for top four, that's when he does. That's when he pulls the trigger. And if we do lose a couple of games, and with the form that we're on, we have lost 6 of our last 10 games. And we, as you say, the defense has been shocking. I think it would be a massive mistake, but because I don't think it's going to improve. It might improve in the short term for a bit, but I don't think the overarching thing's going to improve. But you never know, with this hierarchy, you never know. Yeah, I reckon if we do lose the next 2 games, there's a big chance he could pull the trigger.